NieR is a convoluted series, with stories and events spread across multiple games and multiple franchises. Like many, maybe you're considering buying the new NieR Replicant remake when it comes out. Perhaps you played NieR Automata, and you aren't sure how it fits in with the original NieR. Or maybe you're brand new to the franchise, and have heard that there's a whole past chronology of games that link together. To understand the story of NieR, first, we have to take a look at the events of the Drakengard franchise. Drakengard exists in a shared timeline with NieR, with the events of the Drakengard series having a direct impact on those that follow in NieR. In addition to this shared timeline, this series introduced many of the now staple elements of NieR, such as a mix of hack and slash and other styles of gameplay, like aerial combat. Additionally, the dark themes and existentialism, which would become a staple of the series, were laid down by the man who is now essentially the creative face of the franchise, Yoko Taro, who first introduced his signature style to Drakengard. He intended for these elements to contrast the comparatively light-hearted Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games. Chronologically, we begin with Drakengard 3. The story of the Drakengard series takes place in the dark fantasy world of Midgard, which is actually an alternate timeline version of our world's medieval Europe, in which dragons and otherworldly creatures appeared and wiped out much of humanity, causing the nations of Europe to form a united front, which is Midgard. At the center of Midgard is a grand city known as the Cathedral City, advanced well beyond the standards of medieval Europe. We follow our protagonist, a woman named Zero. When she was a young girl, Zero was sold off into prostitution and lived a brutal childhood full of stealing and murdering just to survive. After contracting a terminal illness, Zero was captured by authorities and left to die in a prison cell. As she faded away, a flower appeared before her and took root into her, bringing her back to life. This flower was the result of careless experimentation by mages in the Cathedral City, and the flower gave her immense magic power, as she became what is known as an intoner, an extremely powerful being who wields magic through songs. Not wanting to be used by the power of this flower, Zero tried to kill herself, which caused the flower to create 5 more intoners, or sisters of her, called 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Determined to rid the world of these intoners and any trace of the flower's influence, Zero sets out on a mission to kill her 5 sisters, and eventually herself. Along the way, Zero forms a pact with a dragon named Michael, whom she asks to help her kill the intoners, and then to finish her off once she's the last one standing. Zero and Michael slaughter their way into the Cathedral City, which has become the center of power for the intoners. Zero's attempt to kill them all at once ends disastrously, and she and Michael are wounded by one's own dragon, Gabriel. We cut to a year later, with Zero and her dragon, who's now in a childlike form named Mikhail, who reincarnated after succumbing to his wounds in battle. The two set off to try and kill the intoners again. They first face 5 in the Land of the Seas. During the fight, 5 is betrayed and killed by her disciple Dito, who then joins Zero in her mission. The group then faces 4 in the Land of the Mountains. Zero kills 4 and similarly recruits her disciple Decadus as well. They then proceed to the Land of the Forests. Once they arrive, 3's disciple Octa attempts to betray her like the others did, but she forces him to help her fight Zero. 3 is killed by Mikhail, who is then attacked and captured by 2 and her disciple, Scent. Zero pursues them to the Land of Sand, frees Mikhail from captivity, and faces 2 and Scent alongside Mikhail. Mikhail kills 2, and Scent joins Zero. The group then fight their way into the Cathedral City, where Zero transforms the disciples into their true form, which are doves, and frees them from their service to her. Zero and Mikhail face 1 and her dragon Gabriel in the city. During the battle with 1, Mikhail dies wounding Gabriel, allowing Zero to finish off Gabriel and 1. Zero is then stabbed in the back by a male clone of 1, who 1 had created in case anything happened to her. The male clone decides to pose as his dead sister and calls himself 1 as well, and founds a new religious organization known as the Watchers in her memory. This cult spends the next few years ridding the world of the ever-increasing number of monsters. The Watchers then implement what is known as the Seal System, in which 4 seals are placed to protect the world from the seeds of destruction, powerful forces that transform people into bloodthirsty monsters. One of these 4 seals is placed on a woman, whose life acts as the final seal, and they are known as the Goddess of the Seal. At some point later, due to infighting among the Watchers, one is exiled from the Watchers and forced to leave. During his travels, he meets a woman and has a child named Granat. Not much detail is given about Granat's children, but the next consequential members of one's bloodline appear when Granat's granddaughter Ramia has twins named Seirei and Rama. Ramia loved Seirei, but hated Mana for some reason, and abandoned her in the forest, where she was then found and taken in by the Watchers, and becomes a high priestess in the cult. This is where we now arrive at the beginning of Drakengard 1. At this point, there's a long-running war between 2 groups known as the Union and the Empire. The Empire is seeking to release all the seals, and thus the seeds of destruction as well. The protagonist Caim is the brother of the 13th goddess of the seal, his sister, Furie, who the Empire is seeking to capture. During the opening battle, Caim is mortally injured, but continues to fight to try and save his sister. Near death, he finds a severely wounded dragon named Angelus. Out of desperation, Caim and Angelus agree to make a pact and save each other, and then repel the Empire together. With the attack repelled, Caim is joined by Furie and her fiancé, Inuart, and they flee to find safety. While traveling, they meet Verdelet, a priest in charge of protecting the goddess of the seal. Inuart is captured, tortured, and brainwashed by Mana. After this brainwashing, Inuart then captures Furie, believing he can save her from her fate as the goddess and earn her love. Verdelet and Caim travel to each of the 3 seals, but each time arrive too late to stop them being destroyed. Eventually, the Union and Empire engage in a final battle, and the Union emerges victorious. However, after the battle, the Union's surviving troops are decimated by an unknown force from above, and the Empire's troops return to life. Caim and Angelus travel to an Imperial fortress that has appeared in the sky, where they find that Furie has killed herself, breaking the final seal. Another staple that Drakengard introduced is the inclusion of multiple endings, depending on your actions. In the first ending, which leads into Drakengard 2, Caim and Angelus confront Mana and defeat her. Mana asks them to kill her, but Angelus declares that she must live with her crimes. Angelus then offers herself as the new goddess of the seal for Caim's sake. For the purposes of this video, I'll basically skip talking about Drakengard 2, since it doesn't lead into any of the other games. This one was not directed by Yoko Taro, and has essentially been retconned out of existence. Ending E, which requires recruiting the character Seirei, is what leads us to the NieR timeline. In this ending, Seirei has his Golem Pact partner kill the deranged Mana, causing the fortress to collapse. With Mana dead, the Watchers descend on the Imperial capital, along with a being known as the Queen Beast. Caim and Angelus attack the Queen head-on, and are accidentally transported through a portal with her, arriving in modern-day Tokyo. Caim and Angelus defeat the Queen, but are swiftly shot down by the Japanese military. The Queen's body dissolves, and particles spread throughout Shinjuku. It is soon discovered that as a result of this, many people in Shinjuku are dying and dissolving just like the Queen did, and that others are being transformed into mindless monsters, known as the Legion. A wall is erected around Shinjuku, but this is eventually breached, and increasingly drastic measures are taken, culminating in a nuclear strike on the city. Although the Legion within are destroyed, the particles are spread across the globe as a result. These particles do not cause any kind of disease, as the scientists believe, but they bring you before a god, who offers you the choice of either death or servitude. Choosing death dissolves you into salt, and servitude turns you into a mindless drone for eternity. In order to combat this widespread plague, a project is launched, known as Project Gestalt, in which a person's body and soul are split, but then can be rejoined later. Over the next 10 years, a fierce offensive is waged against the Legion, mainly using child soldiers, who are compatible with otherworldly drugs that give them great power. During this time, Project Gestalt continues, and the first replicants are created. These replicants are copies of a person who has had their body and soul split, and is meant to serve as a backup in case the original body is destroyed. As there still appears to be no cure for the plague that is ravaging humanity, Project Gestalt is put into action on a wide scale, and people are put to sleep until it is safe to return to their bodies. To protect the project and keep it running, androids are created to watch over humanity. Additionally, the Grimoire project was introduced, which allows a split soul, or Gestalt, to inhabit a book-like form. 13 of these were created, including Grimoire Noir and Weiss. This leads us to the events of the original NieR, and now the new NieR Replicant, which follows a cast of characters including androids, replicants, and grimoires. Obviously, I won't spoil you on the events that take place in these games, and there have also been rumors of additional content that was cut from the original games that has made its way back in the remakes, so it's not like I could spoil even if I wanted to. It's also pretty much impossible to connect NieR Replicant to NieR Automata without spoilers, so I'll just say that NieR Automata takes place many thousands of years after NieR Replicant, and if you've played Automata, you may see a lot of these connections yourself when playing Replicant. And that's everything you need to know before playing NieR Replicant. If you found this to be useful, be sure to like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.
Anyway, take it easy, yeah?